What's up, everybody? Welcome back to the next episode of Sports Talk with Hawk. I am Hawk, and it is an absolutely beautiful Thursday morning. I know the Vegas vs. Hawk podcast just released a few hours ago. Hopefully, you guys enjoyed that one as we looked at the odds, Super Bowl, Rookie of the Year, the way that Vegas sees the season playing out when it all comes down to it. Today, I want to do something, we want to talk some straight up football. Okay? So we're going to talk straight up football. The idea here is simply this. Today's biggest topic is going to be quarterbacks. We're going to look at the highest paid quarterbacks as of Thursday morning. So Dak Prescott has still not gotten a deal. So his new deal is not going to go into this. But I have here, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have the top 16 paid quarterbacks in the NFL in front of me right now. The top 16, so the half of the league. And we're going to go down the list here real fast. And we're going to look at, is there a correlation between these teams? Number one on the list, the highest paid, there's actually a three-way tie right now at $55 million a year. Trevor Lawrence, Jordan Love, and Joe Burrow. Three-way tie for first in what they are making per year. $55 million a year. The hardest part of these three quarterbacks is they are three very separate team dynamics. Let me explain. The Jaguars with Trevor Lawrence, arguably his best roster that he has had on offense since being with the Jaguars. Very simple. He's got one really good running back, a backup good running back, really good tight end. They drafted Brian Thomas Jr., the receiver out of LSU. They've got Gabe Davis now. He's got the weapons. He's had some weapons. Calvin Ridley last year wasn't bad. He disappeared a lot. He's got the weapons. I still think the coach isn't as good as what other people believe he is. I like Peterson. I think he's a top 12 offensive mind, but I don't think he's a great coach. I know he won a Super Bowl. I get it. I don't think he's a great coach. I don't. Jacksonville should be in the playoffs this year, and honestly, probably should win 10 games. An 8-9 or 9-8, season would really be. They need to be 10-7, 3 wins above 500, solidly above average team. Jordan Love with the Packers is in a different scenario. Jordan Love with the Packers, they're not paying anybody. Bakhtiari's gone. They brought in Josh Jacobs on a little bit of a higher end contract. It wasn't horrible, but a little higher end. But they're not paying their receivers. They're not paying their tight ends. They're younger. They can afford to pay Jordan Love $55 million and still build a solid team. And I like what the Packers are doing. Titletown is just the run from the 90s until now. The last 30 years. Legitimately, the last 30 years. What a run the Packers have been on. What a run. Now, the third quarterback here, Joe Burrow. This team dynamic is really getting tricky. Jamar Chase still has 2 years left on his deal. He wants a new contract. I'm sorry, 2 years? Just stop. You better be healthy. I've said this before. Don't ask for a new deal unless you've played every game that you're able to play. I know people are going to say you can't control injuries. You can't control fluke injuries. You can't control fluke injuries. The turf right now, yeah, I agree. The turf monster is bigger and badder than ever. And it's taken out ACLs and MCLs left and right. But in this dynamic now, T. Higgins is playing under the franchise tag. He may be traded at the deadline. I don't know. Their defense isn't horrible, but it's definitely got holes back there. And their offense, let's just be honest, Joe Burrow's contract is really strapping the Bengals down now. You've got a receiver. You've got a good second receiver that can't stay healthy in T. Higgins. You've got a star quarterback that also can't stay healthy, seemingly. And you've got a below average running back because you don't have the cap room to do what you need to do now. That's where it's at. 3 completely different team dynamics are the 3 top paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Now, the 4th highest paid quarterback at $53.1 million is Tua. They're in the same situation as the Bengals. They paid Tyreek Hill. They've got Jalen Waddle. They've got Tua. They have no defense. That defense will be a sieve. I don't see that defense able to do much this year. At all. Pulling people off the streets again, most likely. So the team dynamic for Miami is, yeah, they kept their quarterback. Yeah, they've got an offense. They're going to have to outscore everybody. Because that defense is not going to hold them. Now, 5th on the list is Jared Goff. This one's interesting. The Detroit Lions have made their bed, and they will have to lay in it eventually. They've made their bed. But in 3 to 4 years, the Lions will absolutely have to cut half of the roster. Or let them go. Let them walk. Because their cap is coming due with all these restructured deals early. Amon-Ra St. Brown, Montgomery, Jahmyr Gibbs, Penei Sewell, Aiden Hutchinson. These guys, they're all getting paid. Jared Goff got paid. They've got 3 years before they're going to have to look at breaking it down. They know this. They're aware of this in Detroit. They want to get to the Super Bowl. They made the NFC Championship game. should have won it. Detroit is going for the Super Bowl, and kudos to them for what they're doing. They know what they're trying to accomplish. Many teams have done this before. I hope it works out for them. All right, sixth on the list, Justin Herbert at 52.5 million. The Chargers are now officially in a complete rebuild mode, but that's because they got their new coach, got the old one out. Changing the culture should happen in the first couple of weeks. You'll see what type of team the Chargers are going to be. My guess with Jim Harbaugh, they're going to be tough. There's going to be a really good ground game. And it'll be shaky through the first year. Give them a second off season, and next year the Chargers will, since the Chiefs are getting old and they're going to have to rebuild and potentially Andy Reid retiring, the reality is the Chargers could become the top dogs on that side really quickly. So Justin Herbert at 52.5, not really strapping the Chargers right now. They want to go younger. It's what Harbaugh would prefer. So I think that's the way they'll go. Look for them to trade Khalil Mack at the deadline or Bosa and maybe even Derwin James. All right, seventh on the list is at 52 million, Lamar Jackson. Now, this team is one of the best teams at development, drafting and development. Lamar Jackson is making a good amount of money. They haven't gone everywhere they want to, which is the Super Bowl. And he does have some injury concerns, but not as many as Joe Burrow. So the amount to me is still a wee bit high, but not bad. But the Ravens have an organization that trusts the scouting department. They're only going to keep A talent around on an extra contract. They'll let B talent walk out the door because they feel their scouting department can find them another C+ player in the draft that they can turn into a B player through their development. That's what the Ravens do. And it's worked for a while. The eighth highest paid quarterback at 51 million is Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts. The guy never deserved the second contract. I'm happy for him that he signed it. He doesn't deserve this much money. He's not that good of a quarterback. We'll see what happens, obviously, but reality is this is just wasted money on a guy that really only deserves tops 40 mil. Tops. He's not that great of a quarterback. And neither is Tua, by the way. Tua's not great either. And what they did is they didn't want to have to restart. They know what they got. And there's a saying that goes, the devil you know is better than the devil you don't. And some of these teams are definitely going with that philosophy now. Cannot blame them. But you take money away from where you really need it, which is the supporting cast for a under-leveled quarterback. All right, number 9 currently is Kyler Murray at $46.1 million a year. Listen, Kyler has a lot of issues when it comes to giving up. He's a crybaby on himself. He pouts. You know, he's not an adult. He's not the adult in the room. I believe his arm is going to go faster because of baseball. I believe his arm will go faster, kind of like Russell Wilson's has. So, you know, when it comes down to it, get the years you can out of Kyler, but Arizona is going to be looking for a new quarterback here in the next year or two, and I believe it's perfectly viable. Murray is short. Yeah, he throws a beautiful ball. I don't know how much longer he's going to be able to throw that football the way he's throwing it, though. Let's see. 10 is Deshaun Watson at $46 million flat. We all know this was a mistake. We all know the Cleveland Browns absolutely bombed this one. There's not many of us that question this. It's a Cleveland move. They panicked, made a move, trying to solidify. Everything happened with Watson that the Browns couldn't necessarily foresee with how everything truly played out, even though they knew. They knew ahead of time what was going to happen, but he was not the same, and that flyer really flew bad. It flew and crashed. So not going to spend too much time. He never should have gotten this money. That was very clear. Everybody knew it. The entire NFL knew it. All the owners yelled at the Browns, and, they're still the Browns, unfortunately. All right, 11th is Patrick Mahomes at $45 million a year. Now, here's the question. So you've got the Super Bowl winning quarterback going for back-to-back-to-back that is now 10th in the NFL in paid quarterbacks. But he's not begging for a new contract. Now, I don't like his antics. He does whine a lot. I do believe he's got some raw talent that he relies on a little bit too much. He reminds me more of a Kobe Bryant type than a Michael Jordan type. The difference between Kobe and MJ was Kobe had the Mamba mentality, but he chirped a lot more. He chirped at the refs a lot more. He had all those, he had all the eyebrow movements. He had all the facial expressions. To me, that's Patrick Mahomes. He's good, but he's not as good as he thinks he is. He has benefited from Andy Reid, and Andy Reid has absolutely given him 150% the platform to be able to play, the platform to be able to win, and has done it very, very well. Number 12, Kirk Cousins, new to the list this year. Kirk is a guy that just keeps trying to get the money, hasn't really done anything else. He's making $45 million a year currently with the Falcons. Only 2 years are guaranteed, not 3. So the Falcons gave themselves an out after the first 2 years. The business deal, I said it right after it happened, it makes so much sense. Drafted Penix, signed Justin Simmons recently, got the Judon in the trade with the Patriots. Their defensive holes really filled in. Yeah, I'm sorry. The Falcons know what they're doing. And the Falcons have not been a bad organization. They've not been an embarrassment. Arthur Blank knows what he's trying to accomplish. Dimitroff knows what he's trying to do. They haven't been a joke of a franchise. Yeah, they missed on Desmond Ridder. Okay. Join the crowd of a bunch of other teams that have missed on quarterbacks. Let's not say that they're a mess or a train wreck because of a missed quarterback. They hit on Bijan Robinson. They hit on Kyle Pitts. They hit on Drake London. They hit on A.J. Terrell. They've got a really solid offensive line, so let's give them credit where credit's due. They're not a broken organization. And I believe this year they're really going to do something special. All right, number 13. Josh Allen at $43 million a year. Now he's making 43. The top guy's making 55. You know what $12 million can buy you? 2 or 3 role guys to be able to solidify a defense. The backup running back to give the guy that's starting a break. The second tight end to be able to block a little bit better than the first guy does. The bruiser. A linebacker. That's what $12 million can get you. It can get you 2 or 3 players. And Josh Allen's not hurting the Buffalo Bills. Consistent success. Division championships. That's success. I know the status bar seems to always be the Super Bowl. Listen, sure. But if you are year in, year out, winning your division, making the playoffs, getting a home playoff game, your city is benefiting from it. You're getting the money from it. They're getting a brand new stadium. And rightfully so. Let's just be honest. He helps his team. That $12 million they save matters. Next on the list, we all know this one never should have gotten it, but Daniel Jones is making $40 million a year right now. He'll make his $40 million this year. They can cut him next year with dead cap. Unless he balls out or unless something changes, Daniel Jones, this is the last time he potentially will play in the NFL. I don't see many teams trying to sign him as a backup. I don't. I don't see many teams trying to sign him as a backup. Why would you? He doesn't show anything. So his contract kind of hurts the Giants. They can't get rid of him. They can't do anything. Nobody's going to take him. Brian Daboll's stuck with him. His fate, Brian Daboll's fate, has been tied to Daniel Jones, and it's unfair. Two guys that if they get fired at the end of this year, that will get hired in a head coaching position in the matter of 2.5 seconds. Number one is Kevin Stefanski. I don't think he's going to get fired, but if the Browns were to be stupid and fire him if they have a bad year because Stefanski can't pull off a miracle like he did this past year, winning a game with 5 different quarterbacks, because Deshaun Watson goes down. If he does get fired, it'll be the stupid decision to make, but we've seen weird things happen. The other guy, Brian Daboll. Brian Daboll will get hired quickly. He works with quarterbacks. The rest of the team isn't horrible, but the reality is you don't have a quarterback, you can't do much. Now, the next quarterback on our list, there has been a ton of conversation about him. Dak Prescott, $40 million a year. Honestly, it's right where he belongs. He belongs on the same tier as Jalen Hurts and Tua. $40 million a year. He doesn't deserve any more than that. Crumbles in the playoffs. Gets stats only in garbage time. Has to have everything be perfect for him to be a winner. Can't win when the chips aren't in his favor. It's 40 mil. I'm sorry, I don't like Dak. Nothing about him pops. He's an average quarterback. You put a solid team around him, he won't lose you the game. He's Joe Flacco. Could he win a Super Bowl? Sure, he could win a Super Bowl. But you need that amazing defense, you need an amazing running game to be able to do it, and he hasn't done it yet. When he had those two things. And the number 16 highest paid quarterback in the NFL at this point now is Matthew Stafford. $40 million a year. $40 million compared to $55 million. That's $15 million more dollars that the Rams have to spend on everything else than the Jacksonville Jaguars do. Oh yeah, that's right. And Matthew Stafford's won a Super Bowl. They won it. They didn't just make it, they won the Super Bowl. Huh. How you build your team. And these quarterbacks that are wiser, Josh Allen, Mahomes, I'm sure they're going to want some more money eventually. I don't expect anything less. But you do it when the salary cap moves up again. Hey, we got an extra $12 million a year. I want 10 of it. because I know we can build a solid team already with what I've get with what's there. Bump me from 43 million to 53 million a year. Simple transactions like that work in teams' favor, and that's why certain teams always have success. It's amazing. You look at this list, the second half, so quarterbacks 9 through 16, there's only 3, I guess 4 technically, but Murray and Watson, not in the playoffs. Kirk Cousins, his teams aren't always in the playoffs. Daniel Jones made the playoffs once, won a playoff game. So really it's Mahomes, Allen, Stafford, and then if you want to, you can put Prescott in there. The first 8, Jared Goff has got them to the playoffs. Justin Herbert, depends. He's got a coach, so should be back. Lamar Jackson consistently has the Ravens in the playoffs. Jalen Hurts, I don't know. Trevor Lawrence, we got to be brutally honest, we don't know. Playoffs, then not playoffs, playoffs, not playoffs. Jordan Love, this is his second year. We don't know anything about him. Anybody who tells you we do is lying. We have a half a good season. We have half of a wretched season. Joe Burrow, he's injured. He struggles with injuries. He's made a Super Bowl. He struggles with injuries. Tua can't beat the big teams. Tua can't beat the big teams, and his coach had no faith in him in the playoffs to be able to do anything. So, after all is said and done, we know there's other quarterbacks out there like, Stroud, Anthony Richardson, Bryce Young. They're just playing. Will Levis. Now you got the rookies, Caleb Williams, Jaden Daniels, Bo Nix, Drake May. Then you got the one-year guys, Sam Darnold. You guys got Gardner Minshew, the Raiders. Maybe Brissett with the Patriots, depending on how they decide they're going to go. Geno Smith with the Seahawks. The reality here is, if you want to build a team to win, you need a quarterback. But you need a quarterback that understands how to win. And the way you win is by building a team. The quarterback cannot win it by himself. Rashee Rice last year really came on. When Kelsey was hurt, Mahomes was lost. Rashee Rice was definitely decent. Now, I like Rice. I do not like the decisions he makes necessarily, but I like Rice. So, when it comes down to it, quarterbacks that understand how the business works can make life easier on their teams. Because when you understand how the business works, you understand you can't take all the money. All the money doesn't help you win. Now, like I've said before, Tua and Jalen Hurts taking the money, smaller guys tend to be injured. Yeah, I get it. They took the money because they needed to. They don't know if they're going to get a third contract option. They don't. They have absolutely no clue. The chances are low. Tua's already had some injuries. Jalen Hurts has had injuries. Bryce Young has already been injured. They're smaller. Kyler Murray's been injured a ton. Listen, they're smaller guys. They're not built great. Take the money on the second contract. You got to get your money. Now, you better be smart with it, but you got to get your money. So I get it. They got their money. But now that means they're really going to have to show up. It means they're really going to have to play because they're getting paid that much money and they can't spend that money on the players to support the team now. To completely round out the team. There's going to be some edges. Smart quarterbacks don't get paid the most. Smart quarterbacks don't get paid the most. Now, yes, I understand since Patrick Mahomes' deal, since Josh Allen's deal, I understand that they've dropped down the list. But that is a big jump. $12 million a year is a big jump. $12 million a year. $15 million a year. That gets you players. That gets you dudes that just go play football. So you can't complain about it when that happens. You can't. If you're going to take the most money, you're taking away the opportunity for your team to round everything out for you. To give you the ability to be a quarterback of a complete team. Well, I think that's all I've got for tonight. That is the top 16 paid quarterbacks in the NFL. Quarterbacks are vitally important. We have 3 rookie quarterbacks that for sure are getting the starting jobs in week number 1. Caleb Williams, Jayden Daniels, and Bo Nix. I expect very soon that we will find out whether or not Drake May gets his opportunity week 1 or not. And yes, if I'm the Patriots, there's a chance that I would start Brissett for the first 4. But come October, you've got to start May. You've got to start May. You don't want to give the rookie his first crash course in a late November game in New England. That's not how you do it. Get him in there. See what he can do. Hopefully he gets named starter. I want to see what these quarterbacks can do. J.J. McCarthy is already out for the year, so we know we're not going to see him until next year. Michael Penix, it depends on Kirk Cousins' health and how Kirk plays. Let's be honest. ACL injury depends on how he plays. But one thing's for sure. Quarterback matters. What you have and what you don't have makes a difference. Well, guys, that's going to be it for me. Make sure to hit that subscribe button. Make sure to hit that notification bell and like the podcast. Appreciate each and every one of you for hanging out. It is the Friday. Oh, this is Friday night for you guys. So have a fantastic weekend. Next week into the following week, because we are just at this point, we are just under 2 weeks away from opening Thursday night. So all my predictions will have to be done within the next 5 podcasts. So we're going to get the schedule predictions out next week. my playoff predictions, and my Super Bowl picks. That'll be coming out in the next 5 episodes as we get closer and closer to the start of the 2024 NFL football season. Thank you so much for listening, guys. Thanks for hanging out. Have a fantastic weekend to you and yours. For Sports Talk with Hawk, I'm Hawk, and I'm out.